everybody, welcome to Mary's Craft Room Sundays at 7. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and did something fun. I started the weekend off with a nice walk with my husband, and then I had a crafting class, my Saturday girls, did some crafting of my own, and then had 2 classes today. So I'm a little beat, but wanted to come to you live and do this cute card that I did. I got inspired by one that I saw that was similar on Pinterest, so I added just a little bit more to it. And I'm using the Happiness Abounds or Hues of Happiness bundle tonight. So it's the Happiness Abounds stamp set, which when I looked at it, I thought, oh, I don't need another flower. But of course I do, because all of the fonts, the messages are just great. The font is beautiful, so it's a very versatile set. I think you'll just love it if you don't have it yet. And then comes with it all kinds of dies. I'm anxious to use these. They're like little bookbinder edges, and I've seen some fun stuff with them. I just haven't used them yet. Now we're not going to use this die on this card, but we are using one of the sentiments, and we're using coordinating paper, and we're using one of the stamp sets. So I left it blank in the middle. It's very, very simple card. And then I used, this is the brushstrokes paper. If you have not seen it yet, it is gorgeous. It's $5 and you get 3 sheets. You get a navy, the soft succulent, I believe, and blushing bride are in there. And they coordinate beautifully with the Hues of Happiness paper and some other DSP. And then for the die cut, what I chose to use was the new Stylish Shapes. I love that Stampin' Up! Does a lot of stitch shape dies, and so this is a new one, and it's more coordinated or more versatile. So we've got circles, squares, and then we've got banners for sentiments. And tonight we're going to use this one. So before we had separate ones, I've got one set that's, I think we've got the layering shapes or something like that. Anyway, stitch shapes it is, and there's circles, ovals, and squares in them. And now we have this new set. So I've got some of everything. So we'll take that one out. All right, and then on the envelope, of course, I did a coordinating flower. Make sure I got the right color. Yep, I did pink on that. So I based my color flowers. I did several of these cards, and I based the color on which color of flower showed up in the DSP. And then this was, again, I think I've showed this before, but this is the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper. Just beautiful, bright spring colors in there. So, of course, you get 12 sheets. I think it's 12, 2 of each design. Lots of flowers, and then lots of more solid patterns on the back. We're using this particular one. I liked the navy blue. And then this one is gorgeous, too. And then we've got it in the lighter, softer colors. And there you go. Very, very pretty. This paper pack, the colors that are in here are Coastal Cabana, Daffodil Delight, Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia, Gorgeous Grape, Granny Apple Green, Mango Melody, Melon Mambo, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, and Pool Party. Super pretty paper. All right, so let's get going on our card here. I'll put that all aside and bring out my bits and pieces. And I used, for the base tonight, I used thick white cardstock, so I don't have any layering on the inside, which I know is going to shock you. I only have it on the outside, and it's my normal 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And that is going to be our cardstock, our card base right there. Okay? Then I have all my other little pieces here. So then what I have is 3 pieces of the paper, Designer Series paper. The first one, they're all 4 1/4 in length. The first one is 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Then the white paper that we will place them on is 3.5 by 4.5. And then I went up another 1/4 of an inch, and we've got 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay. All right. So now we'll start with the skinny one. And what I did was, for the card, I went thinnest to fattest going this way. So one of my cards I messed up, and I laid the flowers on so they kind of looked upside down. So then I just turned it around and my card direction went like that. Either one is perfectly fine. The one thing you do want to remember when you're putting them on, though, is to get, I started with the outside layers first and get them on nice and close to the edge. So you have, I'm going to try and bring the camera down just a little bit here. So you have space, so you've got white in between all of the layers. So I'm going to come right up to the edge. I'm going to see if I can make sure I can see everything here. A little bit thinner than what I normally do for a white edge, and it's a little off on the top, but that's okay. It'll be fine. It's a card, right? So it's homemade. This weekend I also started a fundraiser selling our kits. My goddaughter has a son, Auden, and Auden, if you've seen it on Facebook, Auden has been battling liver disease all of his life, and I believe it was 5 years old. Auden had a liver transplant, and he has battled rejection ever since. Carrie has been doing fundraising and things like that for many years now. Carrie makes hats, and she started a page called Hats On for Auden. And so I wanted to help out, and I decided to start a fundraiser and sell our kits, which are fantastic. They're all inclusive, so they can be for anybody who doesn't have all of the Stampin' Up equipment like I do, and you can do the kit and make gorgeous cards out of it. And I am giving a percentage of each kit sold to Carrie and Auden. And there we go. I laid this all down, and look, see, we've got just nice little spacing in between there. So some of our card kits anyway have no stamping, and they are $14 that I will sell them for, and I will give $5 of that to Auden. Then we've got other, I'm going to center this right on here, sorry. Then we've got other kits that range from $21 up to $27, and I will give $10 of each of those to Auden. So in the first hour and a half that it had it on last night, I raised $110 for Auden. That is what I'm giving to him. So I sold 5 kits and got a $50 donation. So it's been kind of fun. I'm anxious to give her everything. All right, there we go. And I see it's just a little off on top. Again, it's a card. It's great. It's no problem at all. All right. So anyway, if anybody is interested in helping me with my fundraising, just send me a message and let me know what kit that you might like to order. I have them all listed. I've got it on my Facebook pages, and I've got all the kits shown on there, and I'd love to have you help me out. Now, because this is just a little off on the bottom, no, I'll put it this way. I just sometimes have to learn that it's okay. All right, so we're just going to place this like that, centering it in the card, okay? And we are almost done. So next what I want to do is I'm going to use Best Wishes because that will be the most versatile set. So I'm going to use Night of Navy. And there's so many nice sentiments on here. So I did a few of them in Happy Birthday. I did one in Congratulations. I used this card and made it for a retirement card today for somebody. And there's one that says Friend. So any of these would go. And actually you could fit, I think all of these except maybe that one in one of the banner dies from that new stitched set. All right, so we're going to take the navy here and stamp the Best Wishes on. And then I've got my cut and emboss right behind me. And I'll quickly cut that out and I will be right back. I'm just going to step behind me here. I'm using my new magnetic plate and it's working wonderfully. It took them a while to come out with a magnetic plate that they were happy with. They tried once before, but it didn't quite work. but they now have one. And I have to say, the only thing is the papers stick to it pretty tight. So here's the new magnetic plate. You can see I used it a lot this weekend. It's okay that these cuts are in there. You just keep moving your stuff around on the plate. It's very heavy. It's nice. It works great. But like I said, when you take it off, it's kind of, they're stuck down pretty good. So I have a little Cricut spatula that I kind of keep handy and put it on there. One of my crafters yesterday said, Mary, you should probably have a spatula. And I wasn't having a hard time with it. But ever since she said that, now I have been having a hard time. So I did get my Cricut spatula and it worked really, really well. Okay. So we used our die from the Stylish Shapes. We'll put that back. And now I'm just going to use some dimensionals. And we'll put that, our little sentiment on there with a couple dimensionals. And then we'll put some iridescent rhinestones on there. So I just put it down here towards the bottom. Doesn't have to be centered in the card. So we're going to put it over like that. Grab my Take a Pick tool. And I've got a new one, so the putty is coming out a lot on the end. The iridescent rhinestones, which I love. Now they are not going to stand out a lot on this card. They're just going to be for a little subtle bling. Very, very subtle. So just going to put 3 of them on the end here, on the end of the banner. Like that. And see that? They're just a little subtle. Nothing that's popping right out. And I love it. Especially with the blue in the background. I want that just a little bit, placed a little bit closer. Come on. Here we go. Okay. So last but not least, I'm going to do a little stamping and a little coloring. Just put the flower in there. So there's the front, quick and easy. We'll use our momentum and we will put the flower right in the corner just so it's got something pretty on it. And then we'll do the same thing on the envelope, okay? And I'm going to do it in the same corner. There we go. All right. We'll put that away. And I'm using the Mossy Meadow, the light Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to use the fine tip and I'll color in the little stem. Then I'm going to use Mango Melody for a nice bright yellow in the center. And I'm using the thicker tip and just kind of filling in there. Kind of tracing the little pieces in the center, but yet going around them. Now, what I'm going to do is color with the light marker first. And I'm just kind of making it very artistic-y looking, you know, not filling it in all the way. Doesn't have to be perfect. I kind of like how some of those stamp sets we have that are just kind of almost watercolor looking. Oh, let's do the envelope right away, as long as I got this one out. Same thing, just fill in a little bit. I like it because it doesn't have to be so perfect. So I'm going to keep doing some classes this summer. Usually I take the summer off, but I decided that I would do more classes because I kind of lose my mojo if I don't keep crafting. So I'm going to have a lot of things going on this summer. I've got a couple products classes going on, one in July, I think one in June, July, and August. And I've got some kits classes going on. So come to my page and I'll keep talking about them as the summer is going. So I'm just going to put a little bit of dark in here. Not a whole lot. And then I just kind of go over it again with the light just to blend it in a little bit. There. So there's the envelope. See that? Just a little bit dark in the middle. And we'll do the same thing with this one, with the inside of the card. Just feather up some of the dark color coming out from the center. And I have to say, shading isn't my best thing, but it's getting better. The blends help it a lot. Can actually do a little bit more in here. So usually when I'm shading, I just kind of trace around some of the lines. And then I always go back with the light one to go over it a little bit. Now it ended up that I'll probably have to fill this one in. Because I ended up getting some all the way to the edge, so that's what we'll do. We'll leave the envelope like that, and I'll have the inside like this. And it looks great. And there, guys, is my Hues of Happiness card. Best wishes I can use for absolutely anything. Anniversary, wedding, retirement, anything that comes my way is for best wishes. And there you go. That is it tonight for Sundays at 7 with Mary's Craft Room. I hope you enjoyed the card, and I hope you can all join me, excuse me, next Sunday. Have a great week.